standing in the middle of your mat. Scrunch up your toes or wiggle your toes. Just lift the arches up underneath the feet, soften the knees, tuck the tailbone under. So get that tilt on the pelvis, start to get that length through the spine. Pull in pelvic floor, so draw in 100%. Pull in TVA, so it's like tightening round like a corset. Lengthen the spine now, so come up to the rib cage lift, shoulders back. Lift and extend the back of that neck, so the crown, the top of that head. That's it's linked to the mountains actually, the crown chakra. Start lifting and drawing that up nice and long. Extend through the spine. Pelvic floor TVA. Pull in now, 100%. We're going to hold 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. I can see a few people holding their breath. Pulling in again. Check that you're breathing normally. Ready? 6, 5, 4. Shoulders are relaxed. 3, 2, 1. Slow release. And again, pelvic floor, TVA. Let's pull in. Try not to hold that breath. If you need to talk, something to take your mind off holding that breath. 6, 5, 4. 100%. 3, 2, 1. Slow release. Take it again, 100% in, and I want you to slowly pull it down to 50. The engagement's there on the pelvic floor and the TVA. We're going to look to the side, to the center, and the other side. Try and relax your shoulders here. So shoulders are relaxed, so we're just kind of working into the neck, to the center, to the side, nice and slow. Almost like you're in the queue for the bank, and you just want to slyly look at who's just stood behind you. Really slowly looking around. 2 more. Try and keep that chin, that length at the back of that neck. Chin neutral, it's not lifting, it's not lowering. Centering then, now we're going to go chin down to chest and then lifting up to center. Chin down to chest, breathing out and lifting up to center. Shoulders are relaxed, we're still pulling in TVA, pelvic floor. Last one, then we're going to add in. So look to this side, then take the chin down to the chest, draw it round to the center and round to the other side. Now notice if you tense in your shoulders when you do that, and just see if you can let go of those shoulders and try and relax so that neck really starts to release. Still pulling in, pelvic floor, TVA, pelvis is tucked under, arches engaged, knees are soft. Last one, chin down towards chest and round to the other side. Recenter, you're just going to lift one arm up to your ceiling, take the other arm down. So it's a really slow way into that side bend. And then we're going to go to the other side. So just one arm up, reach up towards the ceiling. We're thinking about length in the spine. And then draw that other arm down. And maybe you can still think about lifting one arm up. It's a different way into that side bend. So one arm up, other arm down. Still pulling in pelvic floor, TVA. Switch it over, one arm up. Other arm, slide it down. 2 more. And lift. Breathing out. Slide that hand down. Last one, lift. Breathing out, slide. Recentering, big arm circle. So reach the arms up, forwards. Take them up towards the ceiling and round. Maybe squeezing those shoulder blades together as you come all the way around. Lift. Circle it all the way around. Breathing in, lift. Breathing out, lowering down. Notice as you lift, that TVA doesn't disengage. So keep that engagement in there in the pelvic floor. And lift. Bringing it down. Other way around, so take it backwards. Big circles all the way up and around. Same thing, that TVA is still engaging as we circle. Try and relax the shoulders into this, so we don't feel that tension in our necks. that crown chakra, that top of the head still shining up towards the sky or your ceiling. Last one. Circling around, tuck those elbows in and do our scapular set. So draw the thumbs out to the sides. Squeeze those shoulder blades together, bring them back to center. Then really notice here what's happening with the pelvis. So sometimes we want to arch the lower back to get that, to compromise and get the stretch in the shoulders. So tuck the tummy in here, pelvic floor TVA. You can even squeeze glutes, tuck the pelvis in. And it's a little bit more tricky then you're going to really work with the upper body because you're going to stabilize all the hips and the pelvis. Draw those thumbs back. Breathing out. 2 more. Last one. And release. Nice and slow on our roll downs. Slide the hands down the legs, down towards the knees. Bending the knees. Maybe going down towards the floor if you're comfortable. And slowly breathing out, uncurl. Releasing that lower back. Going to go again. Chin to chest. Slide the hands down over the knees, down towards the floor. Knees are soft, knees are bent. Slowly uncurl. Maybe you can feel that space in the lower back between the vertebrae. 2 more. Bending those knees. Coming down, just brushing, fingertips on your mat. Sliding, lifting back up. Last one, breathing out, chin to chest. Sliding down, brushing those fingertips, slowly uncurl. Into our squats, we might want to go a little bit wider. Bend the knees, reach the hands forwards. Squeeze the glutes, lifting back up. And again, come down into your squat, nice and strong, squeeze the glutes lift. Think about these arches underneath the feet, so let's work these connections. Scrunch at the toes, draw up the arches, check the knees don't pronate across that midline. We're thinking about those knees and our alignment. The hips go back in space. Reaching the arms forwards, try and keep the shoulders relaxed, down away from the ears. Breathing in to rise. 4 more. Lower if you want to take it. And 3. And 2. Hips go back in space. And last one. And drawing up. I'm going to put in a little twist now. So just come halfway down on your squat. And then just come and bring your elbows down on towards your knees. And then press in the left elbow down towards your quad. And then draw up the right arm. An amazing upper body twist, this one. Because you can press into that elbow. Take the eye gaze up. Take 3 big deep breaths here, filling out the chest. It's that lovely spiraling the chest up towards the ceiling. Come back down to your squat position with your elbows down, and then we'll go to the other side. Left arm lifting. 3 big deep breaths, fill out the chest. Working into the upper body twist. Eye gaze going up. Last one. Drawing back up to standing. So a little bit of a sequence, and we'll go on one side and then the other side. So we'll just take a big stride to start with. So we're going to start with the left leg forward, nice big stride. Yoga, it's that warrior one. We're going to start with the wrists. So interlink your fingers. And we're just going to take a figure of 8. So drawing a figure of 8 here. And just kind of working into the joints in the wrist. Still drawing in pelvic floor. Drawing in that TVA. I think I did this a couple of weeks ago. So tonight's a little bit of I've kind of put together all my favourite moves from the last few weeks. So work into the wrist. Then remember the eagle arms where you cross the elbows over and then you interlink, and you can try and interlink or press palms together. Now take the figure of 8 but use the shoulders as well. So figure of 8, dip one shoulder down and then lift to center and then dip the other shoulder down. So we're working the upper body, the shoulders, into a bit of a figure of 8 here. Stabilize through the pelvic floor, the TVA, pressing down into the feet. So it's a balance here as well. Other way around, right? So I think the figure of 8, you can try and go the other way around, which is kind of strange. Last one round. And just take a moment, reach the arms up towards your sky, your ceiling, press down through that back heel. So it's just a calf stretch. Just take a moment there, calf stretch, press the heel down, scrunch the toes up on that front foot. We're going to cartwheel the arms over, turn the right foot so it's facing the side of the mat. So it's another warrior, isn't it? It's a warrior 2, this one. Line up your heels. So your right foot's facing the side of the mat, your left foot's facing the front of your mat. Line up those heels and see if you can square out your hips. And here we're going to be like scales. So like the Pisces, you know, like your star sign. And we're going to do scales. So we're holding our scales. I'm going to tip to one side. So we're working into those side bends. Then recenter with the core and then tip the other way. And you can try and get your elbow nicely tucked into your side. So like or a seesaw is another way of imagining that one. Tilt over, side bend, pull in that core as you're doing this, stabilize through the core. And then over to the side, lovely little tuck in there with the elbow. It's almost like kind of working almost back extension work there. Elbow tucking in. You can add in the eye gaze there, so you can start looking up towards the hand that goes up. That's going to challenge your balance a little bit. Scrunching up those toes, engage the arches. Last one. Tilt it over. Tuck the elbow in. Straightening out that front leg, that left leg. And then we're just going to take the triangle, but it's a really nice inner thigh stretch. Right arm up towards your ceiling. Straightening both legs. Scrunch up those toes, engage the arches. Maybe take the eye gaze up. That will challenge the balance. Pull in pelvic floor, pull in TBA. Reaching now through those fingertips up towards the ceiling. It's a great chest stretch here as well. Filling up the chest with air. And then bring yourself back up to center. Turn your feet to face the sides of the mat. And we're going to go over and spin it all the way around to the side. So we started with that warrior 1. So we've got the right foot forwards. We took in a big stride, hip width. Pressing down through the back heel. That right knee's bent. And we're going to start with the wrists. So just interlink those fingers and take that figure of 8. So again, try and almost keep your elbows move a little bit, but really think about your wrists and the joints in your wrist here. So maybe some popping, that's totally normal, don't worry about that. Taking that figure of 8, still thinking about the pelvic floor and the TVA. Thinking about the calf stretch you're getting here, so pushing down that back heel. And then taking that eagle, so cross the elbows. If you can remember, I should have said, remember the other elbow underneath. Interlink the fingers or press the palms together. And then you've got that figure of 8. So dipping the left shoulder, recenter. Dipping the right shoulder and recenter. So I'll show you face on as well with that one. So you dip and you draw up into your figure of 8 and then you dip on the other side. And it really challenges the balance here. So pull in pelvic floor, pull in TBA, and maybe you can feel the little side bends. And you're having to readjust yourself in this balance, right? And also we're working here, we're getting space between the scapula Really nice for the shoulders. Very fluid kind of movement as well. Good for the lymph system. Last one, and then we're going to just take that moment, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, press down through that back heel now. So working on the grounding type thing, so really thinking about the hips coming down towards the floor. Take a deep breath here, feel the calf stretch. Ready to cartwheel the arms over. Go warrior two, so line up the heels. Bending that right knee, so you've got this really brilliant stretch in the thighs. Take the arms out to the sides, palms go up, square out these hips towards the screen, the sides of your mat. Then we're going to go for our scales, so just let the elbow drop down towards that right knee, feel the side bend, pulling in the pelvic floor, that TVA, and then tucking that elbow in. Take it over, or a seesaw. Breathing out, let it go over, feel these side bends, feel all around these hips as well, such a good hip kind of stretching. All the time pulling up through that pelvic floor. So if we can get a bit of flow here. 2 more. Elbow tucking in. You have to stay in my time, use your own breath. Try not to look down. If you can, just keep that length at the back of the neck. Looking forwards. And then straightening that right leg. And then we're going to go down for that triangle. So reaching down the right hand towards the right knee. Left arm goes up towards the ceiling. And then you work with that spiraling a little bit. So you take the eye gaze up. Lovely chest stretch. Really strong. Left arm going up towards the ceiling. Get it nice and straight and reaching up. Draw it through the pelvic floor and the TVA. Filling out the chest with air. Then we're going to just bring that up, recenter it. Walk your feet into the side. And a bit of a shake. So again, for the lymph system, shake out the hands, shake out the wrists, shake out the arms. Shake out the legs, shake out the hips. Just a really big shake out. Don't shake the camera, Alex and Susie. Big shake out. We're going to take a little balance here. So recenter yourself, and we're just going to lift up one knee, like a high knee. Let me show you some example, like a high knee. Just lift up. And then recenter it and then switch it over. So just lift. So don't know about shaking, actually, you might find it quite hard to come into a balance from that. And then just switch it over. So just, I'm going to start adding into this. Think about the toes. So engage the big toe. Scrunch up the toes. Engage the arches underneath the feet. Squeeze the glutes. Pull in pelvic floor. So adding in, you're going to lift, and then lift at the arms. So alternate your arms, lift, lift, and lift. And then switch it over, right? And lift, and lift, and lift. And again, you've got it. Lift. Just adding in those little bits of balance. You can probably feel the core here. This is like the whole body stuff, because you've got arms lifting up over that crown chakra. And you want a bit more dynamic, so walk through 3 of these, and then see if you can go into your lift, and then go into your arms. So we're just like a little bit faster with it. Almost challenging ourselves to balance like quicker, restabilize quicker. Don't watch me on this one, because as we get quicker, it gets so much harder. And then if you want a little bit more, it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, and then restabilize, right? if you want it. Whoa. And then you're just kind of challenging yourself to get your balance almost quicker into it. Just 2 more. All the time, drawing in pelvic floor, TVA. Glutes are firing. Squeeze the glutes. Last one. Woo. Okay, so find your way down to downward dog. We'll all meet down there. I'll adjust my camera and get ourselves ready for a little bit more mat work after our warm up. Downward dog or puppy dog, whichever one suits you. And just think about sending your hips up to the sky, maybe taking your calf stretch, so alternate one heel down and then the other. Spread your fingers, press your knuckles down in towards the mat. See if you can send your chest towards your thighs, spiral your biceps towards each other. Just try and get that stretch on the backs of the shoulders. Take a couple of deep breaths here. Really tempting to hold the breath when you're trying to concentrate in downward dog, but try and just really work some deep breaths. And bring that down onto all fours. You've got hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Really standard move that I'm going to put in here, but I'm going to add in a few bits. Okay, so we've got that right arm lift, left leg lift, opposite arm to leg, in that tabletop position. Then bring in the balance. So just see if you can lift up that right foot. So point of contact here, you've got your right knee, your left hand. Eye gaze towards the front of the mat. And just take a couple of breaths here. Squeezing that left glute. Bringing that downward switch sides. Left arm lift, extend. Try and get it level with the shoulder. Right leg lift. Squeeze that right glute. See if you can lift up that left foot. So again, we're working with balance and restabilizing. And work that TVA. Put in that pelvic floor. Try not to hold the breath. Couple of breaths. Squeezing on that right glute. And then over back on the other side, adding in again then. So, right arm lift, left leg lift, squeezing that left glute. Pick up that right foot, work with the balance. Adding in then, we did it a few weeks ago. See now if you can just look to the side, just like we did in warm up. So using your neck, look over to the side. Recenter, and then looking into that right arm. So really challenging because we're changing our eye gaze. And then we're going to switch over to that left arm, right leg lift, working that right glute. Think about that TVA, that pelvic floor. Work with that balance, lift up the foot. Then if you can, if you want more, just slowly looking to the side. Keep stabilizing through the right glute. To the side. To the center. Over to the other side. Super challenging if you want to add all those bits in. One more each side. So right arm lift. Work with that left glute. TVA, pelvic floor pulled in, lifting up that right foot. Think about this arm here. So you have got low handshake and then you've got a high handshake. Take the high. Look to the side. Center. Other side. Last one then. Left arm extend. Right glute squeezing. Maybe pointing those toes. You can really think about length here through the body. Add in the balance. Really thinking about TVA, so where that tummy button sits, really work at drawing that up in towards the spine. Look to the side, center, over to the other side. Releasing out of that, then come all the way down onto your fronts. And I just want you to see if you can take your hands to the front corners of the mat. And you've got your elbows, they're not directly underneath the shoulders. We're going to take a little cobra stretch. Eye gaze forwards, engage the pelvic floor, and then just slowly see if you can straighten your arms. So you've got your palms at the corners of the mat. So you just give yourself some space here, engage the pelvic floor, and what you should find is an abdominal stretch. So you should get a stretch there on the core. Eye gaze forwards, and then you can try and draw the shoulders down away from the ears. Take a couple of deep breaths, fill out the chest. And then bring the elbows back down, slowly lowering yourself down.